It's not too late to make someone's holiday season a special one. Start now as an Amazon Delivery Station warehouse associate to earn some extra money for the holidays. You'd help bring joy to thousands near you by preparing packages and loading them up for their final delivery. With night and early morning shifts available through the new year, you'd also have the flexibility to spend time with your loved ones. To start as a delivery station associate, go to amazon.com/holidaywork. Amazon is a proud equal opportunity employer.
It takes a lot of ingredients to fix or build a car, like cooking, but without the frozen dinner easy way out. eBay Motors has 122 million parts. It's always the right fitment, so you can follow any recipe to a T. Whether it's a vintage Italian coupe that's classic like Grandma's meatballs, or a German luxury car that's as complicated as Oma's rouladen, to cook up something great in the garage, use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Yeah, I can go to the gym. Yeah, I can cross-country ski in the winter, or I can go run, whether it's flat or in the mountains. It's all going to benefit you in an obstacle course race in one way, shape, or form. It's a really fun sport to train for, and it never gets boring.
Hey folks, welcome to Adventure Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Mason. Sorry about the delay here. We're getting this episode up a little later than usual. I had some technical difficulties this morning. But this is an episode from my other show, Without Compromise, through Athletic Brewing, where I work. And this is one of our pro athletes, Lindsay Webster. But I thought it'd be a cool episode because Lindsay just won the World Championship of Spartan races. And if you don't know what Spartan is, it's obstacle course races that's out in the woods. I've gone to a few of them. And they have, versions that go in the trails, but this one was in Abu Dhabi, literally in sand dunes. Just the whole course was in a bunch of sand dunes, running through the sand, out in the endless desert. It's amazing. It looked incredible. But Lindsay won the world championship, and what's even crazier is her husband won the men's division. So they both won their divisions, like the absolute number one, top athlete in each division. And they happen to be husband and wife from Canada. So that's, talk about a power couple. Holy cow. So we're going to talk to her about the experience, what it was like. And this is the last episode before Christmas. So if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a good time with family. I hope if you have some time off, I hope you get out there and use it. I know I'm going to try to get out on my paddleboard or on my bike sometime this weekend between all the family stuff. But if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you do something fun regardless, and we will be talking to you on Monday.
I'm honored to be on here because you guys have quite the lineup of athletes and people who have been on this podcast. So it's cool to have my name kind of associated alongside.
Oh, what are you talking? That's we only do this show every other week, so I feel like there's so many people we don't get to talk to because it is only 20-something episodes a year, whereas we have way more athletes than that. So it's kind of hard to not be able to feature people, and you and your husband being one of them. So yeah, welcome to the show. This is awesome. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll be around for years to come. So
here we go. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, you're getting off a pretty big high right now. Just recently, you won the World Championship in Abu Dhabi. I just honestly want to start there. I usually start with background, but since this is so recent, let's just jump right into there. Take us through some of your favorite moments of the race. I know you've talked about kind of the uniqueness of the landscape, the ability to travel with Spartan. What are you thinking about day to day right now? How have you been able to process it?
Processing, it's funny. So yeah, to win the world championship, obviously it's something that just means so much to you. And then my husband also actually won this year. So it was fun to be able to talk about that with him because, normally we leave a race venue and, you kind of talk about the race for the rest of that day, but then life goes on, you get back home. But for days and days after this race, he kept bringing it back up and all he wanted to talk about was the race. And I was like, I know your exact feeling because it's almost like when you're at the race, you win and you're like, that's amazing, I won. But it's not until like the couple days afterwards when you really start processing that you've, I guess, accomplished this like massive goal that you've been working towards for not just all year, but like really your whole athletic career. So yeah, we just be like making coffee or something and find yourself with a great big smile on your face all of a sudden.
I can only imagine. I gotta ask, did y'all talk about like, hey, what if this happens before the race, or was it not even a part of the conversation, like as a possibility of both of you winning?
I think we both knew that we were capable of it. But I feel lucky that I get to go through it with him because like I mean, we get to do all the travel together and then it's the same lifestyle and kind of goals that we're working towards. So like we both, want to go to bed at a reasonable hour. We both want to eat healthy food leading up to the race and it's nice to be able to like have somebody to share that with and then we kind of I think fuel each other and motivate each other too, especially preparing for this race because we live in Quebec, Canada, and it's very much winter right now. But obviously, Abu Dhabi was in a really hot desert climate, so we bought a sauna. We used this race as an excuse to buy a barrel sauna, but we were doing like training sessions with like the heat cranked up in our little gym room, and we just wouldn't turn on fans, and we'd be super sweaty and then hop in the sauna after. We were like doing trainer sessions in the sauna. So like a lot of kind of miserable training sessions that you had to go through to prepare for this race specifically. And it was just nice to have somebody to share that with. And I'd see him, finish it and be like, okay, like I'll get through mine too. Whereas I feel like if it was just me and myself and I, there'd be a greater chance of being like, maybe I don't have to do that today kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean, you just touched on so many things I had notes on and wanted to cover.
Oh,
I
sorry.
saw that. No, that's it's awesome. So I saw that y'all built that sauna, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I was like months ago, had no idea this is what it was preparation for. But that's genius because I was going to ask. You guys are in a complete winter environment. How the heck did you prepare for what is quintessentially like the example? If there was ever an example of a desert, y'all were racing in it. Like that was the most desert place I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really cool. And sorry, you asked earlier about favorite parts of I guess the race course and stuff, and just like running through the sand dunes. And also, we started late at night. Normally, our start time is like 7 a.m. in the morning for Spartan races, but this one didn't start till 3 p.m. because it's so hot there during the day. And the mornings actually are really humid, which is why they wanted to do it in the evening. But yeah, just like running in these big sand dunes with the sun kind of setting over them. I finished with a headlamp on, so I got to watch the whole sunset and like this orange light just kind of reflecting off the sand. And it was beautiful, spectacular, and definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I mean, I know the word power couple gets thrown around a lot, and I'm sure y'all hear it all the time, but it is mind blowing that you both won. And when Ryan crossed the finish line and was laying there, I saw those awesome shots of him like laying face first down on the ground, and you weren't that far behind. Did you know at that point that he had won too? When did you realize that he was also the winner?
So I actually heard while I was out on course over the radio. So it was like one of the guys who was rabbiting for me. So we call them rabbits. So the guys who follow us around with the cameras. But they carry radios, and I guess they announced over the radio, and it was so anticlimactic. It was just like Ryan Atkins, first place, crossed the finish line, and like that was it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he won! So, yeah.
Because for people that don't know, he's come in second 5 times. So
Yeah.
to win, I mean, what did that do for you and your effort out there? Were you just like pumped after that? Because I didn't realize that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, usually, both as elite obstacle racers, my race typically starts about 15 minutes behind his. So usually he's a bit on my mind while I'm racing, but like this year, he was really on my mind the whole time I was racing, and like I kept running into friends of ours out there cheering us on, and I'd be like, "How's Ryan doing?" And of course, I can barely breathe myself, but also. What else? Oh, the course did this funny thing where it was like a first loop and then a second loop. And so when I was heading out on the second loop, we go through like the festival area again. And I could hear the announcer saying, kind of giving like a play-by-play of the men's course and where they were all at. So yeah, very much he was on my mind this race. And then he's right here.
Hey Ryan, thanks for letting us steal Lindsay away a little bit to talk. But holy cow, I was just amazed by the fact that y'all both won together. I mean, first time in Spartan history, first time in 10 years that the World Championship had been outside the U.S., first time in Abu Dhabi. What was it like being on the sand? I saw that you compared it kind of similarly to snow, and were able to make that transition pretty easily. Did you feel you were able to, did you feel good out there while you were running through it?
I felt like I was familiar with it, a lot more familiar with it than I expected to be. And of course, like snow and sand can be so variable. There's a million different kinds of sand. You can get super hard packed, runnable sand that's like almost as hard as pavement. And then you can get the stuff like this that you kind of sink right into, like down to mid shin. And it's the same way with snow. You can get, hard packed snow, you can get corn snow. But yeah, just kind of, I guess for me, it was very familiar feeling to have my stride dictated at me instead of just being able to run how I wanted to run, because it was so much easier to be able to follow in someone's footsteps, much like you would if you're running in fresh snow. Like you're not going to make your own tracks if somebody has already put them in already. So yeah, just to like follow in, since the men had gone off before us, like their footsteps or one of my female competitors, I was like, we all kind of took turns taking the lead for a bit and switching off. But it's a really weird feeling to like be in a race and not be able to just like run your own stride. So yeah, that was something that was familiar with me. And then having your feet kind of shifting around under you every step you take. So yeah, it was a lot more familiar than I expected, but obviously like we're just starting to get snow, so it's not like I've had much chance to practice in it this winter. So it was kind of like if you I don't know, for people who are from snowy climates, just like to go and decide that you're going to do like a 3-hour really hard run or like a fastest known time or something when in like the first snow of the season is just kind of something that you would never do. So by the end, my muscles were like totally exhausted.
No, I can imagine. You had to kind of almost lead on muscle memory. Of what it was like to be on the snow. That is wild. Well, I tell you what, I'm sure it's still just a trip trying to wrap your mind like, holy crap, we both won first place. What did y'all do to celebrate? Did you do anything special? Because a lot of times with this stuff, you're celebrating one or the other. Like, someone gets a promotion at work or someone wins a race, of a partner. One or the other is doing something that they're celebrating. For you guys, it's literally the same celebration. Anything special you did?
Not especially. Like we came home and set up our Christmas tree. What else did we do? I don't know. We like shared a beer together, I guess, once we got back home after the whirlwind of travel. And I don't know. I think just kind of having like a quiet moment together to sort of like internalize it and, drink a nice beer.
Right. Well, I tell you what, that was awesome. That's so fresh. That's so cool. But I want to kind of go back to where this all started for you. I know you grew up in Canada, just outside of Toronto. Tell us about some of the early things you were in. What was getting you active early on? What kind of sports, and how did that lead into OCR, and when did that lead into OCR?
Yeah, my parents always had my sister and I enrolled in sports from a young age. So when I was really like, I'd always been on the cross country team in middle school and so on and so forth. But when I was in high school, I got really lucky in that our high school had like a ton of sports teams, like any sports team you can think of, you name it. We even had a rowing team. So I was on the rowing team. I joined the cross country ski team, like track and field, obviously, and cross country running, very much like endurance based sports. But then, I had these coaches that taught me, I guess, a lot of the basis of what I know today about training that has like made me, I think, the athlete that I am, or at least like contributed a lot to it, because they taught me how to, yeah, just like put together a proper training plan and how to structure your season. And I ended up, I guess, I used to do figure skating when I was really little. So once I found cross country skiing, I actually quit figure skating to do more cross country skiing, which was my competitive sport all through high school, that and rowing. And I just think that having like a cardio based kind of sport, but with a big upper body component in it, definitely contributed towards making me like a good obstacle racer, because there is that upper body kind of component, and we're these weird hybrid athletes that like we're basically endurance athletes. Like I'd be terrible in a CrossFit gym or something, but like we don't quite fit in as runners, and we don't quite fit in as, you know, weightlifting athletes. And we have the good engine. So yeah, I think once I found obstacle racing, it's kind of like I found my niche.
Found your niche of doing everything. You know, that's what's kind of cool about your background too, is just having all these different sports. You don't necessarily have to specialize to be good at OCR. You know, there's obviously strengths, but you got to do so much that it helps to have that kind of background where you've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason I love the sport so much. Like, because there's so many different ways that you can train for it. Like I did competitive mountain biking for a while, and I found that training for biking actually like was decreasing from my love for the sport, because every day it was just like on the bike, very regimented. What do I have to do today? And I felt like I could just never go out and just like ride for the love of riding. But with obstacle racing, it's like, yeah, I can go on a bike ride. Yeah, I can go to the gym. Yeah, I can cross country ski in the winter, or I can like go run, whether it's flat or in the mountains. Like it's all going to benefit you in an obstacle course race in one way, shape, or form. So it's a really fun sport to train for, and it never gets boring.
Right. Well, what was your first obstacle course race, and what did you think? Because I mountain bike too, and I remember my first time mountain biking. I thought, this absolutely sucks. Like I fell like 15 times. And
Yeah.
my friend was like, you got to go back out again. I'm telling you, the second or third time is going to be awesome. And sure enough, you know, you kind of get over that initial suck. Was that the case for you with OCR, or was it initially just, this is incredible?
My first race, so actually Ryan talked me into doing my first race. And at the time I was training as a mountain biker, so I had like a good cardio base, but I remember him teaching me like 2 days before the race how to do a rope climb and the technique of like doing a foot lock. And I had no upper body strength really. So I failed almost every obstacle. And the penalty for failing obstacles in this race was doing 30 burpees. So I think throughout the race, I probably did like somewhere around 200 burpees, and I got like tendonitis in my elbows back here for like a week from doing all these essentially push-up movements. But anyway, so the first race he talked me into was actually Spartan World Championships in 2014.
Oh.
So he took me right off the deep end. It was in Killington, Vermont, which is like well known for being a really, really tough course. But it was up and down all the mountains at Killington, it's my type of terrain. I love running in the mountains and like technical terrain. I ended up finishing 4th, and I was like, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was so sore for a week. Like I've never been that stiff in my entire life. And I crossed the finish line, and I was like, that was flipping awful. It was a 5-hour long race. It just went on forever. And I was like, I'm never doing another one of these things ever again. But then I kept thinking about it after the fact and being like, that was like the coolest way I've ever challenged my body. I wonder how I could have done if I had actually trained for it, and like developed my upper body strength a little bit more, got it back maybe to what it was when I was a cross country skier. And I don't know, I guess I just kept thinking more and more about it. So Ryan, at the time, was getting more and more into obstacle racing, and I think he had like a sponsor lined up already. And it was almost like every other weekend he was away at a race. At the time we were just boyfriend and girlfriend, and I was like, I'm never seeing him. So he won this one race, and he was like, what I'm gonna do is I use my prize money to like fly you out to this race, but you have to train for it. And I think I had 2 months to like get ready for this thing. And he made me like a little program that I followed. So that was the stipulation for him flying me out. Anyway, so I did that race. And because I was more prepared, I actually like really loved it. And I won it, which helps too. And then I
Yeah.
prize money from that one to fly myself to the next one. And it just kind of like snowballed into this great big thing. And then eventually I quit my marketing job and became a full-time athlete. And now it's 6 years later.
I didn't realize you did so well at your first one. Take us through that because, here at Athletic, I don't know if you know Bill's story, but same thing. He worked on Wall Street, got into ultra running and was like, I'm skipping tons of steps here, but eventually was like, I have to leave this job to start this crazy idea of a non-alcoholic brewery.
Mm-hmm.
You had a career in marketing and you left to become a full-time athlete. What were some of the people in your life saying and what kind of made you feel that was the right decision? Let's take a quick message break and hear from the folks that help make this show possible. Hey, Kurt.
Hey, Mason.
If you don't know, Kurt is the former host of Adventure Sports Podcast. Kurt, I heard you had a little story for us.
Okay, true story. A couple of years ago, I decided it was finally time to get just the right ski for me. But ski technology changes so quickly, and I really didn't know what I needed, so I just went to Powder 7, and I told them my skier ability, how I wanted the ski to perform in the POW and on the corduroy and in the bumps, and they pointed at a ski in the wall and said, I think this is the one for you. Of course, they showed me several others and told me how they would differ, but in the end, they said, but based on what you said, this is probably the one. I have never had as much fun on a ski as the one that they recommended for me. So if you're going to buy new skis, why not buy the right ones for you? And to do that, go to Powder 7. They really know what they're talking about.
And I also wanted to add, they have pretty much perfected the art of buying skis online too. So even if you're not in the area, they have a very robust website, extremely helpful. And the cool thing too, they do sell a lot of used demo skis. So I know we on the show are always looking for deals. That's a great way to save a little money if budget's tight right now. So definitely check out Powder 7 by going to powder7.com. Again, that's powder7.com.
At Kroger, we know the holiday season is going to be special for everyone. So use the Kroger app to get personalized coupons, weekly deals, and rewards like fuel points. That way you'll get all the fresh holiday specialties you love at prices that are lower than low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
And now you'll find more ways to save on your favorites. When you download digital coupons, you can use up to 5 times in one transaction. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now get any breakfast sandwich for just $2. Available only through the app. Mobile order and pay available at participating McDonald's. McD app download and registration required.
That is plenty of that for now. Let's get back into the episode.
Oh man, I mean it's always going to be really scary to go from like a nice salary, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks or whatever, to just like living off prize money. And if it weren't for Ryan, honestly, it never would have crossed my mind at all. I think my parents always, they want the best for their daughter, and like to climb the corporate ladder is like the way to get there. So they'd always sort of like, I guess, subconsciously pushed me towards, the corporate lifestyle. But and I know they just did it because they wanted the best for me, but I don't think I was at all suited for a desk job. So my job in marketing that I had at the time actually was event planning related. So like I did enjoy it a lot because during the summertime I could kind of get out of the office and we'd be at events, and there was this other kind of component where I'd get to interact with people and be on my feet. Much like you said, your favorite part of your job is like when you get to interact with other people. So,
oh, for sure. This is awesome. This beats the hell out of emails.
Totally. Yeah, but I don't think I was like well suited as a desk job. I've always been, I think any athlete's going to be the kind of person that just like has trouble sitting still all the time. And so Ryan's family is quite the opposite. They've always just like encouraged their kids to do whatever makes them happy. Ryan used to work as a mechanical engineer, and all of a sudden he was like, I'm going to quit that and start my own trail building business. And his mom was like, great, that's awesome. And then he was like, I'm going to quit that and I'm going to be an athlete. And she was like, good for you. And so, I think him have those influences in his life, and then he encouraging me to kind of like take that massive, scary step, was definitely the push that I needed. But yeah, this is definitely a weird first couple months trying to like adjust to, not having like a regular paycheck, and yeah.
Tough.
Bit of
That's what it takes. That's the limb you step out on. Was there a moment or a race or a time that you were reflecting that you were like, maybe confirmed, maybe this was the case from the beginning, but it confirmed to you, I've chosen the right path?
Yeah. I think honestly, just feeling like I was the happiest that I've ever been in my entire life. And I'm a pretty happy person. Like I was happy in my job and stuff, but just the lifestyle of a professional athlete's like pretty amazing way to live, and just to get to share it with Ryan and travel and just like wake up every day and be like, I don't have to go to work. I just get to go run around. That's my job now. So, yeah.
That's kind of like your first race that you actually enjoyed with OCR. It helps a lot too when you win.
Yeah.
To make it more enjoyable.
Definitely does. I know sometimes I see people like on the really tough courses, like the one in Abu Dhabi. You just like see somebody out there with a 50-pound sandbag or a bucket full of rocks, and I'm just like, why do we do this? What are we doing? I was laughing when we flew to Abu Dhabi because I was like, I'm literally flying to the other side of the world to go like run around in some sand. Which is funny when you look at it that way, because for us, of course, it had been everything we've been focusing on and thinking about for months. But sometimes you just got to be a little realistic about it.
I'm going to fly across the world, play in some sand, and it's going to be one of the best experiences of my life. Yeah, it is wild. It is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. You take that step, you're having success, and you mentioned being happy all the time. That's something I realized when like researching you and just learning more about you. Like you are so joyful and happy and cheerful. You don't come across as like this hardcore personality. Do you deal with that a lot, or do people bring that up a lot? Because, the freaking title of the thing is Spartan. It's pretty hardcore, but you don't fit that mold in so many ways.
Thanks. I think that's a lot of obstacle racers. So I think athletes in general, we see a lot of type A personalities, because I think in a lot of sports you have to be really regimented with your training and to do what it takes and everything. And I would say I'm definitely like a motivated individual, and I am definitely like motivated and I guess regimented in getting done the training that I need to do in a week. But a huge part of obstacle racing is sort of just taking whatever they throw at you during a race and having to deal with it, and like having that adversity, I guess. And I think that if I were an athlete in a sport like track and field or something, like I probably wouldn't like it very much, because it would just be too many numbers that I was always trying to make and beat, and too many, running in circles and stuff like that. But because the training is so versatile for my sport, I think it suits my personality, and I think you need that in obstacle racing to just be able to go out and do some gnarly training sessions. Like I know other athletes who go on runs and they really hate even getting their feet wet. And I would say that like my shoes are muddy and wet probably 98% of the time that I run. So so I think
you're a crazy person.
Like I said, I just found my niche, and I think if I was obviously I loved rowing and cross country skiing, but never really wanted to pursue those sports as a professional athlete, even though maybe I could have. But yeah, I think I just
No,
found
it's
where
really cool. And you mentioned, I did hear that somewhere else or read that somewhere else, that you don't mind or you like getting your feet wet early in a race. And I put a note. I said, "What kind of monster are you?" Because
we are all kind of like obstacle races are a little bit of masochists, I guess.
oh yeah, a little bit. Because that's so many people, especially athletes, like absolute kryptonite is having their feet wet. I can't tell you that's just like a common thing.
Yeah.
You don't mind at all. I definitely don't mind at all. It's like it's almost like comforting to get to that point so that you don't have to worry about it anymore.
And so many things, like you literally never know what they're gonna throw at you in a race, and then every time you finish it, you're like, "Wow, I completed that thing." Even on the Abu Dhabi course, like we went out the next day for the team race, and during the sandbag carry, there must have been it basically went up and down a hill. But there were must have been 50 sandbags littered up and down this hill, just piles of them everywhere from people who had, I guess, been like, it's too hot, I'm too tired, screw this, and just drop them. But I think for anybody who even completed the course, whether or not they completed the sandbag carrier, you get through those obstacles and yeah, it's miserable at the time, but then you look back and you're like, oh, I did this thing. It was amazing. And that's kind of what makes it really stick in your mind as just a point in your life when you overcame something. It sounds corny because we're always overcome obstacles, but it's
Literally.
really intuitively what you're doing, and it's you just come out of it being pretty proud of yourself.
Oh, that's awesome. And you say it's corny or maybe, I don't know, a stereotype or whatever, but talking to so many high-end athletes, it really does boil down. I've realized the success boils down to the fundamentals. There's really no secret weapon that anyone really has. It's a mental game. It's working hard. It's preparation. It's kind of the same stuff with everybody that's succeeding. So I think we're always looking for that, that new wisdom or that new thing. But more times than not, it is just those basics. It's just doing those really well.
Yeah, definitely.
Now that you've raced in desert, you've done beach obstacle course racing, you've done mountains, of course, where you live. Do you have a preference for a region or terrain? Or is there one that you're like, I really enjoy this more than the others?
I really enjoy, basically any of the East Coast races because I don't know, I enjoy running in the mountains and technical terrain, and it's what I run in at home, so I guess I'm good at it. You like what you know, right? But I also really enjoy the races that we have in Utah in the mountains, and the one we have there is beautiful. It's always kind of in, I guess, early summer, so all the wildflowers are out and there's these spectacular views, and it's always a sunny day. So I would say really any of the mountainous courses probably.
That's
for me.
awesome. Oh man.
Yeah.
So, well, was there any talk? I know you won 3 world championships. So was there a conversation with Ryan that was like, hey, welcome to the club, the world championship club?
No, not really, but I did, he always comes and he either waits for me at the finish line or he runs backwards at the course and does on the course and does his cool down and comes to look for me and cheer me through my last mile or so. So as soon as I crossed the finish line, I did look for him, and I was more excited about him having finally won his race than I even was about the fact that I, completed mine. Not to downplay it at all. It was a huge goal of mine to be the first person, I guess, to win it 3 times in a row. But I was just so excited for him because I know how hard he'd fought for it for so many years. So yeah. So I looked for him.
Unbelievable. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
I was I almost cried on the podium when we were standing up there together and they were playing the Canadian anthem, and I was sharing that first place spot with him. And I'm not a crier, but I was this is a really incredible experience.
Oh my God, almost cried. I would have bawled my eyes out.
I held it in.
It's a movie
I
setting.
had to try to hold it in because I was oh, how embarrassing will that be?
How embarrassing! Come on, this is. I mean, it is. The more you think about it, the more mind blowing it is.
Yeah,
So
it's
congratulations to both of you. That's wild.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
Gosh, what are the chances? Like, it's so crazy. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into rapid fire. I know I've already gone over a little of the time, but if you got a couple more minutes, I'd love to ask you just a handful of quick questions. And they don't have to be one-liners. It could be, just a few sentences, but we'll just jump in, then we'll wrap it up. Cool. So what are you most curious right now, or curious about right now outside of Spartan, outside of racing?
I think I'm really excited about gravel racing right now. So like my abilities, I guess, on the bike.
Yeah, that's
Bike
also an
races.
exploding world there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what would you say your proudest achievement is outside of world champions, outside of Spartan and racing?
Oh my goodness. Outside of, I was going to say maybe quitting my job and taking that leap to like become a
Hey.
pro athlete. But I guess that's still Spartan related.
Well,
But
I mean, it's like career oriented.
yeah, that's true. I'll go with that.
Well, that's definitely one to be proud of. That's awesome. All right, so this is, I have no idea. I was going to ask, like, what do y'all do from here? Where do y'all go from here? But I'll kind of wrap it in this question. Biggest goal not yet achieved?
I'd love to open a cafe or bakery one day. Maybe when I'm no longer an athlete anymore.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if that'll ever be the case. You might have to do it alongside. All right. So outside of what we've mentioned, is there a hobby that you have that folks don't know about outside of baking too? Because you just mentioned that. I assume baking's a passion as well.
Yeah, baking's a massive passion of mine. I don't know. I guess like my veggie garden and raising chickens.
It was just racing and bacon.
Yeah.
That's everything. That's awesome. All right. So what is your favorite or most consistent daily habit that you look forward to doing every day? Might be tough since you're someone that does a lot of different things all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Daily habit. Maybe like my first coffee of the day.
What I call it, in our house, it's known as the Cafe Royale.
The Cafe Royale, I love that. That's the stick.
That very first hit there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that very first sip. So hey, I have to agree. Do
Yeah.
you have a favorite athletic brewing beer?
Nature Nut, which is really funny because it was released as an April Fool's joke, and I messaged I think it was Chris being like, please send me all of the beer that you made. Like send it to me. Because like peanut butter chocolate anything is my favorite. And I love stouts. And he was like, oh, sorry, this is embarrassing, but that was an April Fool's joke. And then I guess like a month later, he got back to me because he's like, we received such an overwhelming response and demand for us to actually make this beer that we're going to do it. And they did. And it's my favorite one.
That is so funny. Well, on every can, one of our mottos, it says brew without compromise. But we believe here at Athletic to make anything or to pursue anything without compromise. It's not just, brewing or running or racing without compromise. You kind of have to live your whole life without compromise. So what does it mean to you to live without compromise?
Yeah, just to, I don't know, like I think in life, especially as an athlete, like there's, the stuff that you got to do every day that you don't look forward to. But then I think just to make room for the things that you enjoy too, that, bring a lot of happiness to you, whether that's like family or baking or, a little bit of training that's just for fun and isn't specific to your goals just because you love doing it.
First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to this show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to growing the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now get any breakfast sandwich for just $2. Available only through the app. Mobile order and pay available at participating McDonald's. McD app download and registration required.